who are blue side this time. So got that first pick, but don't have
Millennium.
a counter pick.
You did it now.
Oh, Verius, don't do this to it. It's Manalite. It's Manalite on the blue side.
It's because they've gone with ML.
Yeah.
Why? If they'd gone with Mana, then we'd never.
Yeah, but ML is Manalite, isn't it?
Azir GP,
suppose.
same bands as last game.
Thanks for bringing us back to topic there, Brixton. Good job.
Brixton's just like,
No,
this is a
No, I'm not doing
Got
that.
this. We're in pick
No
and ban.
forearms today, guys.
Graves has been banned as well,
Yep,
so we
same as
have
last
to see a Gammon ban as the last one coming out from Manalite, because otherwise they're
Galio,
not part
mate.
of the... Oh, Galio, yeah, Galio's pretty awful in the current meta, so maybe not Galio.
Yeah, these are the same first two bans from both teams to the last game. It was Trundle and TF last time. TF being banned by Manalite.
I was just wondering, why are we
Trundle by
showing
Renegade
random people
Bandito.
on screen?
Don't we?
This is never gonna die.
No.
I'm okay with that.
He
'cause
must
it's
live with
classic.
it now.
I love the mastery emote in last game
then
into
he gets
getting caught and
killed.
dying like 5 seconds later. Same ban
Twisted
again.
Fate
TF.
ban. I just don't agree with this. I gotta be honest.
I mean, it's likely that they just don't want to deal with that, with what they've got planned. But
I just don't
they
think
could-
Renegades
I don't think
would
it's
necessarily
necessarily
pick it though.
I don't think it's necessarily a respect ban as much not wanting to play into it. Yeah.
But would Renegades really early rotate to Twisted Fate? Is that what they would?
Not early rotate, but Manalite wouldn't necessarily want to take it away.
You could
Okay,
definitely
there's a
get it on your second
Kindred
rotation.
ban
Though.
here. Which is a switch up from last game where they banned Trundle. They were blue side. So we really are expecting a Poppy first pick like has been whenever it's open, but Trundle is also on the table. It does do quite well into Poppy.
You got to be careful about a first rotation Trundle Poppy though, with Trundle as support. I mean, that's
Yeah, absolutely.
you do give away maybe like a powerful jungler and AD carry.
Was Trundle banned last game?
Yep.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So
Yeah, by Renegades.
you would imagine that if the Poppy was the priority here for Manalite, that Renegades would just instantly respond with the Trundle. So
That's the Poppy.
yeah,
Uh,
it is that.
Are we looking at Nidalee here?
Nidalee Trundle
Quite
makes a lot
possibly,
of
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Potentially again the Civet or the Lucian or Braum
Braum.
again.
I was gonna say Braum,
Yeah.
like maybe Trundle Braum.
With Kindred and Graves off the table, I think that.
Wait,
fairly
Elise is
likely
still
to see
there
them.
as the jungle, or Lee if Furion
Yeah.
wants to fall back
Yeah,
onto that.
I suppose
but
Lee does do quite well into Nidalee, I believe.
Elise as well, potentially. We saw it work
Yeah.
for Nutri.
I mean, there are other jungle picks, just sort of out of the most played ones. That's
Yeah.
what's on the table.
it actually looks like most of Renegades have become ghosts.
They slowly
fading
disappear.
away
Fading away.
to the background. Just waiting on them to pick up their second two champions here. There are a lot of strong picks still open. I don't think we'll see mid or top locked in yet. As you say, Lucy and Braum really good. You've got
If
the
we-
Nidalee available as well.
If we don't see Braum here, I think it'll be the first time this tournament that we haven't seen a first rotation Braum. Oh, there we
It's
go.
literally the same rotation
Yeah.
every side for red side. This
Well,
is
this
what
is
we
the
saw in
identical
game one.
picks to last game.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go all the way actually this time.
No, we can't because there's no Kindred left.
Oh,
so
got it.
Yeah. Corky.
Lucian,
They're not going to pick
Alistair.
Fresh Lucian, they're going to pick Bard, but they might pick it later.
Yeah. I would expect something like a Corky Lucian here for Manalite, or a Corky Sivir. Somewhat the Sivir will struggle against the Braum because you can just use that shield to mitigate a lot of her damage. The ricochets you can stop as well as the boomerang blade. So
I think unless they've got something prepared into it, not taking Lucian would just be ludicrous.
yeah, I agree. You can't afford to give Lucian Braum as well. So yep, it is going to be that Elise as well, alongside the Lucian. Elise does have that early game pressure that can somewhat match the Nidalee, but typically in the early game we see more and more from Nidalees these days, just that power farming style of play where you just sit in the jungle, get as much farm as possible, and work towards the mid to late game.
There is still a Corky open. Again, it got through to fairly late rotations, both games. Obviously, double AD works very well with Braum because Braum is Braum. We might actually see Renegades taking a very similar comp to Manalite had last game.
Yeah, it looks
quite
like
possibly,
it.
Yeah.
They have the double poke siege, and there's the Trundle we were talking about, picking into the Poppy. Going to make her as squishy as possible at the start of these fights that you try and shut her down almost immediately. We can see Frozen Dawn on screen.
So now we're going to start off getting into the interesting stuff, having a mid laner pick for Manalite.
You could go for the Lissandra. Wait.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
you
no,
could
wait, with the
counterpick
Manalite.
You could counter pick it by take it away.
But you don't need to
think it's
because the
capable.
Corky's going to be, it's very likely going to be in the middle lane.
That's
for,
true. I
for
mean,
Renegades.
but do you go Sivir as the last pick there for Renegades then?
Possibly, yeah. We haven't
Potentially.
seen Sivir as
No.
much as we expected. Corgi definitely works in AD carry if he keeps up to a relevant level of gold. The only slight downside is if he's at a fairly normal level, he hits his spike where he gets Triforce Shoes at level like 9 or 10 instead of hitting it like 11 with mid lane, so you don't have your rank 2 rockets straight away.
I was hoping for the Zari. I was hoping for the Zari. I actually felt like it made a lot of sense there. Vedius is pretty happy with that.
Yeah, can we just get the camera on Vedius as he does I've got my perfect prediction dance.
He doesn't get to do it very often.
What do you mean? I do it like all the time.
But that's not taking
You do it all the time and then realise
it's not into the Sandra.
They're not taking Cleansari into the Sandra,
mate. Not taking Cleansari into the Sandra. You're very right.
It looks like it might be a Corki idea.
No, but it will allow Larson to have more global map pressure overall. I do think that Ari is just one of those mid laners that finds it very easy to rotate and set a play up in the side.
It's just good pick as well, and they've already got that Elise too, so I feel like they're going to have great pick on the side of Mana.
And the Alistair.
Yeah.
It's great for pick
it's
as well.
definitely good in like small, low-kill skirmishes where you can just take out 1 or 2 really easily.
I would have been really interested if Caterol had gone for the Orianna there, because this is something that in the finals of PGL, he like pretty much exclusively played Orianna after playing nothing but Varus and TF for an entire season.
Yeah, but wasn't that because Varus and TF were like always banned away from him?
Nah, it was just that he randomly started prioritizing it more.
Ezreal.
So we have an almost identical team comp.
Yep,
Yeah,
that pretty much is.
similar.
It's pretty much the
Maokai,
same.
wasn't it, instead of Trundle?
Yeah.
But,
Don't fix what ain't broken, right?
Well, no, because it's Renegades now taking
Renegades are playing
Manalite's comp.
Manalite's comp, yeah.
Renegades are now saying, we're going to take what you
that's
did
a good
and make
point.
it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
They'd be making a statement for sure.
I think it's worth mentioning, more so than team comps, Poppy and Lucian are both really top of their lanes at the moment, and they are quite considerably above some of the other picks in some circumstances, so that is actually quite a big factor. I mean, just having stronger champions.
So this time, I actually want to give every single lane advantage to Renegades. For Ari, she will get shoved under tower. Her wave clear is awful in the early game. She will get so easily pushed under tower by Corki. It is super hard to trade in the early game as well because Corki has that basic attack advantage. In the bottom lane as well, now that there's an Alistair instead of a Thresh, Alistair gets pushed around so hard by a Braum. If you engage, the only target you can engage onto is a Braum, and as you're running away, you're just going to get poked down to death. It is a horrible matchup for the Lucian and Alistair down in the bottom lane, and then obviously the Trundle has his advantages up in the top lane against the Poppy. So Renegades, I feel, have the superior matchup pretty much in every lane.
Interesting summoner choices coming through. We got the Ignite on Hedo, which I think is... I don't know if they're really going to be able to leverage it as well as they'd like, just because the matchup isn't great for
I don't think there's anything to exhaust there.
Yeah, there's not really anything worth exhausting.
Oh, do you want to do your prediction
Italy,
dance
perhaps.
while the camera's on you?
Well, my prediction... No, because it's done now.
Come on, do your
It
prediction
is
dance.
moved.
Do
It
it.
was a really good dance. I
It's
think
like
the
this.
public would be missing out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them.
I
They'll
love the way
have
I
to...
did that while the camera was on you guys.
Do you know what they should? Do you know what they should do? They should come to the live events and see it live.
That's true.
We're up here. Everyone is down
Yeah,
there.
they
How
can't
would they
even
do
see us.
that?
Because they would be like, Vedius, we love you. Come down and do a prediction dance. Yeah.
Is this a
That's
dream
happened
event?
multiple times today already.
Like,
Right.
But interesting team comps coming out here. Renegades, as you say, well, that's half my head. That's the rest of it. Renegades, as you say, are bringing out the Manalite composition again. You give all the lanes to Renegades. Do you think we just have a lane swap coming out here for Manalite?
I don't think they will lane swap. I think
Why
they'll
not?
go for the standard lanes because the advantage isn't so... It's not like Renegades will instantly win in the 2 versus 2, the 1v1. It's very much a matter of the advantage lies in Renegades' favor, and it's hard if Manalite try and force stuff. So if they just play passive lanes, then it should be fine for Manalite. There shouldn't be a problem. It's only if they keep trying to force these plays and trying to set stuff up in the early game. The one thing in particular, I don't think Kiva can go for a level 2 play on this Braum. I don't think it's
Got an all right, level 2.
I think
Yeah,
he's got the cojones for it.
Level 2.
He might have the
And
cojones.
Ezreal, I mean, like, if Braum Ezreal hits level 2 before Alistair Lucian, like, Alistair level 1 is very weak.
I suppose that's true. That is real.
And you can force him around a lot, and you ideally do if you're playing against Alistair in lane, pressure him really hard before he hits level 2, so when they're level 2, they're already.
half
If you
health.
hit it at the same time, yeah.
Yep.
And then the Alistair has to decide whether they want to level up Triumphant Roar and try and get some of that health back, or whether or not they go for the combo and wait for perhaps an early jungle gank. It can be very difficult for the Alistair in that lane, especially now that Triumphant Roar's been nerfed, so you don't get as much healing onto your allies.
From 50% to 33.
35% to
33.
33.
Yeah.
And they
it's
nerfed
quite
the
weak
mana
now.
cost on it 2 patches ago, 3
Yeah.
patches ago as well, so... Another thing to consider, Cadril doesn't have a TP this time, so there's one TP on both sides. However, he does have the package, which obviously is slightly less common, very much more telegraphed than the TP. But it's definitely still a fact he can roam a little bit, but not as much.
Well, will it be Cadril's package that wins the day for Renegades, or will Ari be able to charm her way into a Game 3? That's the big question, and we're going to pass it over to Munch and Scoundrel as we get into Game 2.
Thank you very much, guys. We are here for Game 2 between the Banditos and Manalite. And my name is Munchables. This is Scoundrel. And looking at the compositions then, do you think Manalite are going to be able to even up this best of 5 and make it 1-1?
We were discussing during Champion Select, and I really am not totally sold on the Manalite composition. I think that Renegades have played this draft phase very, very well.
Yep.
I think Maxlaw will have a good time in the jungle versus Furion in this Elise. I think obviously most people will pick Trundle into Poppy when they're given the chance. Corki does fairly well into Ari as well, and like the analyst was saying, I don't think it's a lane matchup that Ezreal and Braum outright win, but it's definitely a matchup that I think Alistair and Lucian will find it difficult to exploit. So
yeah. I think that's the key thing as well, isn't it? Because the Lucian-Alistair matchup, Lucian-Alistair combo typically, the whole goal of that is to be able to bully your lane opponent.
Yeah.
And against the Braum, it's going to be difficult.
And you made the nice point that, when they go for an all-in, the only thing they've got going for them is that burst. And as long as that Unbreakable is timed correctly, you just negate the whole trade potential of Smiley and Haddo in that bot lane. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lane swap initiated this game by the Manalite. Just because of the unfavorable matchups. Alistair does well in looking for tower dive situations. They can push lanes, push towers very quickly. Alphari going to already go aggressive onto Rifty here.
Yeah, and Rifty not having the greatest time in that trade, but it's not really going to be the end of the world. Both of them just going to base and get their health bars back. But sounds like Skype is open on the Observe PC there.
Oh, Trid.
We should be able to get that sorted out shortly. Yeah, so all in all, I think compositionally, RNB have done a very good job in this. However, it's definitely kind of like some very, very strong lanes coming out. I mean, you've got Ari, you've got Lucian, you've got some characters that if Manalite can get ahead in this laning phase, then they're going to be able to pretty much destroy their opponents.
Yeah, for sure. We just come back to us so we can just sort out potential Skype noises coming through on the OBS PC. We don't want to interrupt your feed if you have to alt-tab out with the League client. But again, it looks like standard lanes will be the setup here for both teams. Again, I think it favors Renegades so much more to go into standard lane setups here, because I was talking to our host Matt before the game. If you allow Renegades to go into these 1v1 matchups and 2v2 matchups, they just have that potential to be those mechanical gods that they are. And they will just be looking to win lane. And then from that win the game. You already see Alphari just looking to aggress onto Rifty as well. It is, and he's even started that Doran's
Look
blade
at this,
as well.
the level 2 all-in once more from Yuki and Hiva, but this time Smiley is able to put some counter pressure out on this one.
I mean, Yuki wasn't level 2. So it was like a level 2 from Hiva, but not a level 2 all-in from the team. And actually, now it's turned out after that the advantage lies with Haddo. He's actually going all in.
They go aggressive onto Yuki this time. It's Manalite on the aggression, but Yuki is not going to be going down. Does manage to get his flash on out of there. I think one more auto attack might have finished it, but they just couldn't get it. And Rifty actually in a lot of trouble up in the top lane. The damage coming out of Alphari is just insane.
Yeah, with that Doran's Blade. We don't often see the Doran's Blade start in the top lane anymore, but as a Trundle versus a Poppy, it's one of the rare situations where you can make it work for you, because you can apply so much pressure to her in the early levels, and you're seeing how much damage he is doing. I like the charm there onto Cadril, forces him to miss that cannon minion. And this is what you talked about with the Unbreakable. They both flashed for that, by the way. Both Smiley and Haddo flashed for that. And Unbreakable completely nullified the attempt, as well as the exhaust, obviously, the attempt to kill off Yuki in that bot lane. But this is something that we're not used to seeing. It's the bot lane from Manalite being aggressive enough to deal with Yuki and Hiva. Another all-in coming through here.
Yeah, they go on to this one, but Maxlaw is on his way down to this bottom lane, and Haddo is going to be the target. Does get stunned up. Heal already used by Smiley here as Maxlaw jumps on forwards. Haddo will be going down for first blood. Smiley doing his best to fight this one, but he stayed way too long, and Hiva grabs a second kill.
And that was just the double flash burnt by the bot lane, attempting to find the kill onto Ezreal very early on. Maxlaw immediately exploited it with his very quick clear, move straight down to bot lane. And it's just classical Renegades play. Aggressive when they need to be, and I think punished. They were punished so hard for all-inning onto Yuki very early on, and then just got destroyed by the exhaust and by the Unbreakable, and Maxlaw was there to punish it. Very nicely played by Maxlaw as well, and Furion just too far behind, went for a full jungle clear and wasn't able to be there for the counter gank.
Yeah, absolutely the case. I feel like Smiley probably could have actually escaped that one. I think he was maybe trying to make a kill happen so that it was a trade, but unfortunately he wasn't really able to trade as effectively as he would have wanted and did end up going down. So
this is the Corki versus Ahri matchup as well. I think she just finds it so difficult to trade in lane with the Corki. It's something that, again, I said before, I think every lane here for Renegades wins, right? So...
Oh, here we go. Hiva coming into the mid lane. Repel is going to come out from Furion, but he is going to get stunned up with one more auto. If anyone can land it, they're actually going under tower. Hiva is more than happy to hold on to that tower aggro. And another kill going the way of the Banditos. They're running away with this one.
And this is what I mean. They drag Manlight down into the dirt. Manlight can't play around the objectives that they're so used to playing for, because this is standard lane setups. Objectives are a little bit harder to take in this scenario. And Maxlaw just able to have the impact across them. But they're even going to look for a dive onto Rifty here as well. This is just mental.
Oh, Maxlaw actually gets stunned against the wall, though, taking a whole lot of damage, and the tower shot will finish him. No, he gets the heal at the last second, and Rifty will end up going down.
This is just, again, Renegades love dragging people down into the dirt. They love taking them into smaller skirmishes where their mechanical prowess is where they achieve their best results. And man, like, this is, again, I don't think this is the way they win these games. They have to try and put something different out there. The lane swaps always work pretty well because it's all very global objective focused. They can always try and get those early towers and try and snowball from the gold advantage that they get globally. When you go into these standard lane setups, Renegades just love the ability to play laning phase. They just love the laning phase. It's where they win.
Yeah, and I mean, typically when this team was very first formed, everyone was kind of calling them this squad of just really good solo queue players, right? That was kind of the whole identity to the Banditos at the start of this season, and the fact that they just want to play these laning phases says a lot about where their origin is from. I mean, solo queue is all about winning lane. That is the goal in solo queue. So you can really see that is a massive, massive part of their style as a team.
Absolutely, and already Maxlaw across the map, very unlike Impaler as well. Super non-greedy play coming out from Maxlaw, just looking to impact the map as much as physically possible. He's in the right place at the right time, always communicating with his laners to know when it is and when it isn't possible to make an impact. He caught Furion and the counter gank in the mid lane, immediately went top lane, looked for the dive, and got away with it onto Rifty, also burning the flash. I mean, this is every lane now starting to struggle for Manalight.
Yeah, it certainly is. Larson in this mid lane trying to do what he can against K-Draw, but the thing is, you're against a Corki in the mid lane, and Corki is one of these champions that has barely any bad matchups early on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so strong, like you said, in that mid lane, and taking cleanse versus the Ahri as well. I mean, even post level 6, he should be fairly okay to go into trades with her. Larson also, maybe picking the Ahri just to try and, I guess, have some sort of split push pressure versus anybody that they might go into a 1-3-1 with. But this is one of those rare occasions that I don't think Renegades will look to employ a 1-3-1 because they've got that Corki, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. Alfari getting stunned up against the wall here, but he's more than happy to go for this trade. Subjugate has been used, and he's looking to go for a tower dive. Furion shows his face, though, and that is going to deter the aggression. However, Maxlaw is hanging around in the wings right here. He's just going to be starting off Gromp, though, in the end, and don't think they're going to go for this dive just yet.
No, I absolutely agree. Maxlaw is waiting on the backside, though. He's looking to move up with potentially with Kadril, who is hanging around, having forced. Oh, he's going straight onto Furion.
Furion has been found. Maxlaw doing a lot of damage right now, and that leaves Rifty on his own up here. The red buff ticking away. Alfari stunned up against the wall while this tower is ticking away, though. One more shot is going to go through. So Rifty at least trading 1-for-1 right there.
Yeah, at least trading 1-for-1. That was the best case scenario, but it's 3k gold disadvantage right now. Hiva already picked up his Sightstone. He's 1-0-2, and Yuki with that tier. And they are still starting to win this lane out because Lucian could only afford that cull on his first back, so there's no item spike hit for Lucian here. They can't punish Ezreal for picking the tier up as well, which is realistically the best point in time in the laning phase where you can punish an Ezreal, is where he backs for that tier, because there's no combat stats that you get from that item. So most people will come back into lane with a pickaxe or a BF sword, and they'll look to exploit Ezreal once he's picked up that tier.
Yeah, we need to see Smiley and Haddo play in this lane more aggressively, because if you just allow them to poke, Braum and Ezreal will just bully you all day long. But we'll have to see how that one pans out, whether we see Furion heading down towards this bottom lane to try and get some pressure going across the map. We haven't really seen Furion able to affect too much in this game just yet. Special package actually going to be used there just to get back into the mid lane.
Yeah, I just think it's how powerful Nidalee still is as a jungler. Just can be more mobile than Elise, can have more effect across the map, and already Alphari going in this top lane again. Subjugate has been used.
Yeah, Rifty is really struggling right now. He can't really go near the CS, and we're seeing a 30 CS lead already built up for Alphari. We're just 9 minutes into the game. This is such a difficult scenario for Rifty. He's just regularly being bullied by Alphari in this top lane.
And this is a really awful situation for Manlight to be in, because if you don't ban the Poppy, Alphari is just going to play it. If you don't take Poppy and don't ban Trundle, Alphari will just take Trundle, because we know he's a fantastic Trundle player. Do you want to spend a ban on Trundle? I mean, look at Kadril going aggressive with that Valkyrie as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It does take a face full of Orb of Deception, though, as well, so pretty even trade all in all, and I would expect both of these mid laners to be looking to go to face soon.
He's going to go for a huge split push role in this game, because he's going towards Ravenous Hydra. So he's...
I mean, his entire build so far is just pure damage. He even started with the Doran's Blade and then Pickaxe and Longsword as well. Larson taking a huge chunk of damage in that mid lane, as well as Rifty gets aggressed upon once more. And this is the beauty of just building damage. Alphari can afford to just go for these really aggressive trades over and over.
And they can just look to dive once more with Max Law. You can already see the defensive ward from Rifty, but he's immediately going to have to know he's backing off here.
Yeah, absolutely. Rifty in a whole heap of trouble. Does get the stun onto Max Law, but nowhere near enough. Alphari more than happy to tank that tower up. And the thing is as well, even though Alphari isn't that tanky, his passive is going to keep him alive in lane. Rifty cannot trade, and they just consistently batter Rifty down until they can go for more aggressive plays. And now there is a 45 CS lead in that top lane.
Yeah, and it's just Rifty getting absolutely hammered by Alphari right now. It is a lane matchup that is particularly hard for Poppy. I think she will struggle in that lane time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hiva trying to clear away the pink ward in that bottom tri-brush, but not actually going to be able to get on in there. So that is going to be alive for a little bit longer. However, it's only got one auto attack remaining on it, so would expect that to go down eventually. Rift Herald going across here to the likes of the Banditos. And they're going to give that one to Max Law, so we can spread that pressure across the map.
Yeah, and this is something that Max Law does quite frequently. He does look to take that Rift Herald and then apply it in various lanes. I imagine, as you see now, he'll be moving towards that bot lane. I'm not sure how low that bot lane tier 1 turret is, but I imagine it's going to be pretty close to going down, given the pressure that you've been seeing put out from Yuki and Hiva. Max Law taking that Gromp. He might even just clear some of his jungle before he decides to move to a lane with that Rift Herald.
Absolutely. And Rifty actually heading towards the dragon by the looks of things. I'm not 100% sure what the plan is on this one. He's going to find a pink ward as well in that jungle, so we'll be able to just clear a little bit of vision away. Doesn't have teleport available though, so now he's already been spotted out by a ward. He needs to decide where he's going, because otherwise the Banditos will punish him and get pressure elsewhere on the map. But look at the vision coverage that the Banditos have of this.
Yeah, it's
the
really,
blue
really
half
good.
of the blue jungle.
Exactly, and this is something the analysts picked up on in the very first game. They just said, look for Renegades to just exert pressure around that Rift Herald area. It wasn't so much in the first game, because I think it was a lot closer in contest during the early levels, but now they have complete control of the top lane. Alphari has been dominant. He's almost doubled the CS up there. And they're obviously going to want to be controlling that Rift Herald as much as physically possible. Looks like a top lane is going to be another point of sort of contention for Max Law. Maybe he now heads towards that mid lane. There's absolutely no one there to defend it. They're looking for a dive in the bot lane. And Max Law going to use these Rift Herald minions just to try and take that turret down. And I mean, it looks like they're trying to force this dive at bot lane.
They've got to make something happen because they just lost a mid tower.
They might even lose another.
It's going to push to a tier 2. You've got to make the dive happen right now. Manalite are going to go for this one. Yuki going to be the target. Heal already coming out as Heaver's health bar is going to be burnt on down. Yuki has been ignited and will go down to Smiley, but he tanked one tower shot a little bit too many, I think. Larson flashing forwards and will grab himself a double kill, but does go down for it. Rifty underneath his tower. No, the flash comes out at the last second to finish him off. And all in all, it's a 2 for 2 across the map.
They spent so long trying to make that play happen. They've lost so much pressure in that mid lane. Maxlaw and Kadril now pushing onto this mid lane tier inhibitor turret. They're probably going to lose it. I don't think Firo can get there in time. Not worth it for the dive in bot lane. Yes, you picked up some kills, but you died in the meanwhile, and you lose 3 turrets.
3 mid lane turrets. That is absolutely ridiculous, and they didn't even win the trade. I mean, they went 2 for 2 in terms of the kill trade. They didn't get the tower at all. It's a simple 3 turret swing, which when you're already behind is not something you want to hear. Furion's been caught as well. The Valkyrie forwards. One more auto, can't quite connect. The rocket falls shy, but it's a 9,000 gold lead at 14 minutes right now.
If Renegades think that Manlight are randoms, they're certainly making them look like it right now. It's a completely different display that we're seeing from Renegades now, especially with Maxwell, who I think has been key to their success so far. He's been across the map. He's been incredibly generous in terms of the pressure that he's put down. I think it's very different to the playstyle that we've seen Impaler employ. Impaler is very aggressive in terms of counter jungling, very sort of self-sufficient, trying to make himself into a carry. Maxwell has been so intelligent when it comes to map play, and you see there that consistent pressure in the top lane on Rifty is a bit like the Maxlaw Alfari combo of old.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, it's doing absolute wonders for them. We were talking about how strong Maxlaw was in the first game. He was incredibly fed. This game, it's not so much about him. Oh, actually, Larson in a little bit of trouble. Charm not quite going to connect. He is going to be able to walk away. But yeah, it's not so much about Maxlaw single-handedly carrying this time. It's more about the pressure he's putting on. And look, he's on 6 assists. He's been part of 7 of the 8 kills. It's all about him setting his team up for success right now.
Exactly, and that's I think it's part of what people used to say about Alfari and Maxlaw. I can't remember who it was specifically, but they said it's not that Alfari is like out of this world better than everybody else. It's that Maxlaw makes everybody look good because he just gives them that ability to shine. And Alfari, you know, he is shining right now, but a lot of it is due to that pressure of Maxlaw in the top lane. I mean, look at this. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, and it's kind of once Alfari has those couple of kills, or 4 kills in this case, Maxlaw knows that he is more than good for it and will be able to just single-handedly destroy the rest of that top lane. And Rifty just doing his very best to CS right now. But over in the bottom lane, we've got a couple of knockups going on. Maxlaw is going to be the focus target. Jumping on away. True Shot Barrage hits onto Smiley. He is blocking a full culling with his Unbreakable. Yuki trying to jump forward, trying to get this damage down. Can't quite find his targets, but Manalite getting bullied out right now, and it's 3 versus 4.
Yeah, Kolki in the mid while he's just going to take that mid lane inhibitor. Rifty trying to make a play under turret. Alfari, far too tanky.
Yeah, Alfari's more than happy to just take the turret damage and will finish off Rifty. Mid lane inhibitor, half HP already. Kadril still layering on this pressure, but in the meantime, there's 3 players pushing in this bottom lane. This split push that we see out of the Renegades, the Renegades Banditos, just about every game is doing absolute wonders for them right now. And if you can do this kind of pressure at 17 minutes, there's so little answer available. Smiley getting absolutely chunked by Maxlaw's spear right there. The mid lane inhibitor has finally fallen. Hado trying to make an engage happen in this bottom lane, but he just can't stick to Yuki.
I don't know what's happened here, but Renegades have just entered a new gulf of class. They've made Manalite look amateur, and we know they're not amateur. We know Manalite are a brilliant team. But Renegades have just stepped the game up. But I think they need to think about where they win this game. They need to think about we shouldn't go into normal lane matchups because we just lose them. And Manalite and Renegades draft generally has been looking for counters. The way they draft is they look to win their lane through counters or by picking lanes that are generally going to win by themselves without, you know, the need for a counter pick. You know, they always save Alfari or either Kadril. Either one of those picks comes out later on to make sure that the laning phase always goes well. And the funny thing is they're still running a 1-3-1. They're just running the 3 in the bottom and Corki Kadril just staying mid. And it's worked out brilliantly for them. They've cleared every single turret except for the 2 nexus and the inhibitors on the top and bot side of the map. When you go back to the drawing board, what do you do here? Do you just say, okay, we need to force a lane swap every single time?
That's the question. And I think that's kind of the scariest thing right now for Manalite is one thing that Manalite have always been praised on this season is their champion select, how well they do their draft, how well their macro and strategic play works out for them. But if in the champion select, this thing that we've been praising them for, they're getting outdone by the Banditos, how are they going to be able to match up in the Rift?
I think if a lane swap had happened, I think there would have been such an easier time for Manalite going into this game. You take your top lane away from that horrible matchup, you take your bot lane away from potentially unwinnable matchup. It's just didn't happen. And you saw it just resulted in absolute decimation for the Manalite team. You really should think about tactically where you're strongest. And we know that Manalite are strongest taking those global objectives, snowballing it into a global gold lead, and then just winning through pressure that exerts. It's just not worked to go into these standard matchups. Maybe they need to think about it. Maybe this is something they need to change going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the key things to look at in this series is the champions that the Renegades play always feel like stronger champions when Renegades are on it. I feel like when you look at the compositions at the start of a game, if it was, say, Exertus versus Choke, I feel like the analysis of the composition would be different comparatively to if you're talking about the Banditos, because the way they play is so much more aggressive than everyone else, and they squeeze every little advantage out of it. But we've got a fight coming on here. Hado going to be the target. True Shot Barrage coming out of Yuki, but they're not going to be able to take down that cow.
Alfari just 1v2ing, by the way. I got that bot lane inhibitor tower. In all the meantime, that was a huge engage by Manalite. And Smiley trying to draw some of the minions towards the turret, but they're going to lose this bot lane inhibitor for their efforts anyway. I mean, this is not looking good for Manalite right now.
Well, Alfari has been caught and shut down. The inhibitor still surviving, and Cadril can't really push on it. However, the top lane inhibitor tower has dropped as well. Hado getting stunned up, and he doesn't have his ultimate this time. Smiley going to be exhausted as he tries to make a play. Furion flashing forwards for the cocoon. Yuki just dishing out damage this entire time, and now he's going to go on the aggressive. Larson on the front line, but he doesn't have charm available. And after the chase, they try and finish off the members, but they just can't catch up.
They didn't get the bot lane inhibitor either because Captain Alfari went down. Has got the teleport available. I imagine he would either push into that top lane while that bot lane is being pressured by the rest of his team. Baron is up and available. I don't think Manalite can do a single thing if that is the next choice of action for the Renegade Banditos. And Cadril wandering around with that package, maybe looking to influence a fight in that top lane.
Yeah, Heaver has been caught here. The knock-up is going to land, and Larson finds himself a kill on that one. Yuki now just desperately trying to kite away. Is going to be playing that blue build Ezreal, so the kiting is strong in this one, and we'll be able to head back to base now. But in the meantime, Cadril pushing out this bottom lane. That inhibitor only needs one auto attack on it. If he could just get over there, he might just be able to finish off that. I say it needs one auto attack. That's slightly more than one auto attack. And Cadril will have to back away. I told you all a lie. I apologize.
It's unbelievable how much more polished these guys look with Max Law at the helm of the jungle. I don't know whether that is just his competitive experience of late. His experience in sort of the challenger scene. It just looks like he's...
I think to some extent as well, it's the fact that we are in the finals
and
right
they're taking
now,
it very seriously.
Exactly, yeah. We're not seeing the same kind of just ridiculous cocky play out of them that we're used to seeing in the group stages.
Interestingly enough, the way that Max Law talks in the interviews, you can see that he is kind of like the guy who brings it back down to a sensible level.
Yeah.
Again, you're right. You're not seeing that ridiculous play that we saw, in the group stages, sometimes at I-Series as well. You're seeing a polished, almost challenger team playing kind of like I said, the Immortal style, but playing it very, very well, not taking the risks that they previously took.
Yeah, absolutely. And now they have a Baron buff to work with as well. We'll see how they're going to use this one as the two carries try and get back into lane. And we're going to see another bit of a kind of split push strategy coming out. This time it's going to be Yuki going to the mid lane. And we see Cadril heading towards this bottom lane. But all they have to do is just wait until they've got pressure in all three lanes, and they might even just be able to secure a triple inhib right now because they are 14,000 gold ahead of their opponents at 22 minutes into the game. I feel like right now, Manalite, this is the point where you need to just be looking at what can be changed for the next game, because it definitely doesn't feel like a game that can be come back into.
This game is almost all but sold out for Manalite. There's no way they make it back into this, especially now losing their bottom inhibitor. They're going to lose their top inhibitor, and I don't think their middle inhibitor is long for the world either. This is kind of like a reset game. I think you just take this time not to tilt.
Yeah, the fight is going to happen right now. Hado on this front line just trying to tank everyone up. Rifty does get a good keeper's verdict, but immediately gets dropped as he enters the fight. Heaver going to be the target right now, and he will go down. Smiley grabs himself a kill, but Kadril has arrived on the back line and is ready to sweep up. Furion going to be going down as well. And that is going to be a double kill over to Alfari. 7-2-2 on the Troll. He is more than happy with that score. The final score of the game going to be 6-13. And the Banditos take the second game in this series. Now 2-0 in our finals. Manalite are 1 game away from defeat at this rate.
And that was the quickest game we've seen